Hi, I'm Chelsea. I'm the Geeky Ballerina, and today I get to do a video in response to a request, which is one of my favorite things to do. I was asked to clarify how to apply the concept of knowing where your midline is through tendu and dégagé and rond de jambe through the levels. So yay, here we go. Okay, so I'm kind of headless, but that's fine. Your midline it runs down the center of your body, right? So the concept of midline doesn't really apply in all seconde because here we go, midline, and then you need to know where it is to the front and where it is to the back. So let's start with the beginners. I like to teach my tendus, my dégagés, any kind of movement originating forward coming from the heel. I like to, the heels are already there. The heels are at the midline. And so all you have to do is keep the heel there and then point the toe as well as you're able. The toe doesn't have to get anywhere in particular. If you're working with a less flexible foot, they keep the heel and the toe is where it needs to be. We get more flexible through the feet as we go on. I do know some teaching methodologies that prefer to keep the toe where it is. I don't do it that way because what do we do with it? Like this is not a shape that we're going to use later in training. And I'm a big believer that everything we do is something that we build on. And the only way I can think of to build on this would be to turn it into an all seconde écarté, but you know. So it makes more sense to me to think heel stays and we go forward from there. To the back, it is different. When you go to the back, it's the spine. Sometimes people think that like, oh, this is my back. No, that's the back of your body. But when we talk about your midline, we're talking about your spine. Going to the back is tricky because we really want to lead with the toe, but in the beginning levels, we don't want the toe to worry about going to the midline because then it's going to overcross. So I really, with the beginners, it's just trying to keep the heel forward while the leg goes back. And no, it's not as crossed as it will be, but maintaining that rotation is so hard. I don't really sweat it. So that's what I do with beginners and also usually the first year of the elementary division. So all the way up through age 8, like halfway through level 1. About halfway through level 1, which for me is in the elementary division, we start using a third position. The same concepts apply. I still am more concerned with the heel, which is even more on the midline because now this heel is underneath my nose, which is better than like the left, well, it's gonna look like to you the right nostril. But anyway, I still worry about the heel coming forward. Foot ends up where the foot's gonna end up. And then to the back, I still worry about keeping the heel forward as the leg moves backward. And it really, like, if you can keep it, the cross kind of fixes itself. Hi, puppy. Okay, so let's get farther into the elementary division and the intermediate, really, because the same concepts apply. Third position is great, but then we become like fifth position people. From here, if you keep the heel where it is and you go to it, now you have overcrossed. There is no overcrossing in ballet technique. So now, how aware are we of this center line? Because right now, the center of my foot is on my center line. So how well can you articulate, I should back up, so sorry. How well can you articulate through your foot, keep the center of your foot where it belongs, and bring your heel and your toe in alignment to that? And then can you keep the center of your foot where it belongs as you articulate through the foot and close it again. And then from the back, it is again the same concept. We keep the turnout and then we take that shape to the back. The center of your foot stays in line with your spine and the rest of your foot shapes. In the intermediate division, I think tendu from first is a really, really awesome opportunity to refine the midline, specifically for your dancers with hyperextended knees. I know a lot of times we feel like, oh, I gotta get so much done in class. I'll just do tendus from fifth. I get it. But dancers with hyperextended knees, obviously I'm not one of them, but I'm gonna separate my heels for demonstration purposes. in their first position, if they keep their heel where it is, they're going to end up somewhere really wonky. And when they are beginning and younger, they're not ready for this concept. But as intermediate dancers, they're ready to start noticing, okay, on my body, it's the inner thigh, the top of my inner thigh that I want to keep aligned. And that will keep them aligned no matter how hyperextended their knee is, no matter how mobile their foot is. For your hyperextended kids, it's the top of the inner thigh that does that. And then going backwards, it has to adjust a little bit just because of the way everything's a little round in back. But top of the inner thigh to the back of the spine. That gets you through tendus and dégagés and développés, anything devant and derrière. But let's talk about rond de jambe because, okay, I've said it like 17 times so far in the last, 9 weeks, and I would love to be able to stop saying it. There's not a fifth position in a rond de jambe. You can start from a fifth, but in no version of the classical technique do you come fifth and fifth around. You don't do it. You don't. So rond de jambe, it does so many good things for us. But one of the things rond de jambe is really good at is making sure you know, like, can you find your first position, your midline, your turnout, your midline, your first position as a transition. Details. One more thing. Ballet technique, here I am on Foss, does not overcross. It does not overcross. You can be in croisé, and you can even spiral through your waist so that your shoulders would be square. But in regards to my midline, like this is my belly button, it's pointing this way. Ballet technique does not overcross. Midline, that's it. Even B+. People are like, it's overcrossed. No, it isn't. It isn't. Here we are. This is a tendu arabesque. I am aligned along my midline. I'm going to rotate as I start to bend the knee and bring it in so that I'm still, like, if this leg straightened, I would still be on my midline. That's where the B+ comes from. And then if you lifted that, you would be in an appropriately aligned attitude derrière. B+ is also called attitude derrière parterre for this exact reason. So hopefully that helped clarify how to apply the concept of midline as you use your legs, specifically in your tendu and your dégagé and the rest of your bar work. The midline is part of the concept of line in ballet, which is an extremely complex concept. But my upcoming book, Artistry Inside Ballet Technique, which releases on October 17th, an entire section is devoted to line. We talk about defining line, we talk about your midline, we talk about the transverse plane, the sagittal plane, the frontal plane, we talk about arabesque, we talk about curved lines, we talk about static lines and dynamic lines and straight lines and balancing lines. Like, woohoo, it was a fun project to work on. You can learn more about the teaching resources that I've created on my website, geekyballerina.com. You also can sign up for my monthly newsletter where I share a technique tip and an element of artistry every month. I hope you have a really great class.